Hey fangirls and boys, this is Natalie and you're watching Whole Lotta Love, and today's video I'm very excited about. It is a first impressions on the new ABH Norvina Volume 1 palette. So last week when they announced this, I lost my shit. It looked incredible. The photos that they made, shared were really beautiful. I watched Norvina's story on it. I was just all in, very excited. I actually seen a sneak peek of it. I think Trendwood had posted something and then deleted it, like a little product shot really quick, like a sneak, and then they actually released like the actual official photos, and I was like in love. And I ordered it as soon as it came out. The palette came out on August 26th, which was a Monday, and it is now August 28th, which is a Wednesday, and I have the palette. Of course, FedEx delivered it, or they tried to deliver it, and I wasn't home, so they dropped it off my Walgreens, so that was like a nice pain in the ass for me to get in an Uber round trip to go there and come back and get my palette. But it is what it is. I have the palette here, and it's so beautiful. I'm going to show you what it looks like inside. So this retails for $60. You get a ton of product in it. I'll list the amount of the product exactly on the screen, and it's a nice size. It's not completely ginormous, but it has some largeness to it. It definitely has like a pro palette feel. It is a hard plastic, and I'm crazy about like this tone of purple with the gold. I think that this is just like very nice. It's a very different touch for ABH. I get some people are a little bit like taken aback because it's different, but they need to branch out. They've been doing the same kind of palettes for a couple of years now, so I think it's cool that they're kind of doing something different. I think Norvina is really innovative. She really has an eye for the color schemes, you know, ever since, you know, Modern Renaissance, Subculture, all the palettes that have come out have just been very inventive, cool color schemes. I know she's had a hand in at least some of that, for sure. And Soft Glam, which was a really beautiful, underrated palette, which is actually a heavy glam palette, I would say, has really nice foils and just really nice shades in that one. So overall, I feel like she's really brought it there with this palette. So I will say that some people said that this looks like a lot of palettes that they've been releasing recently, which at first I disagreed, but then I saw comparisons with I'll put it on the screen, with the Alyssa Edwards palette that they came out with, and I felt like there were a lot of shades similar to this in the Alyssa Edwards, like the yellow, the hot pink, some of the purples, things like that, black. And then also before that they released the Riviera, which I felt like was pretty similar to the Alyssa Edwards. I was a little disappointed in that one. So this is like kind of like an extended version of definitely of the Alyssa Edwards palette, I would say. With the Alyssa Edwards palette, I was pretty annoyed, especially because of the Riviera, that they did a hot pink, that they didn't do a hot red. Maybe that's just what Alyssa wanted, but I'm so happy that there's a couple of like red shades in this thing. I think they look really good. This like true red, which I use in the look, and then there's this kind of like hot neon corally red, which I'm really excited to try as well. There's an orange. I think that this is a really fun and interesting color scheme, albeit a little bit derivative of some of the stuff they've done before. But on the same token, Norvina was saying, you know, she wanted to do the purples because purple's her thing. She has the purple hair. She's just all about that life. So I get that. And I'm kind of appreciative that it looks like this as opposed to looking like a typical rainbow palette, because we all have a ton of rainbow palettes. We've all seen that before. So I get that she wanted to do something a little bit different that was really colorful and editorial, but like her own kind of touch on that, and like very ABH style thing. So it does make sense if you're doing like ABH, they're kind of sticking to the brand a little bit with the way and kind of try like also stepping out. It's a little like towing the line. I think they do a pretty good job with it. I will say, you know, what they could have done was they could have put like maybe like a forest, a deep forest green. There's no green in this palette. I think could have done, you know, a true gradient of colors by substituting a couple of things out. I think if they had done a green, then it would be a little more well-rounded out, because you kind of have your other basic like bright colors. You have blue, you have red, purple, yellow, so on and so forth. So, and the shimmers in this palette are really super pretty too. And some of them look pretty different, like this one, which I use on the lower lash line. This is the D2 shade. And the one I use in my inner corner, which is B3, that's really pretty. This is C3. It's like a cranberry one. That's really pretty. So there's like some nice foils in here. And A1, which is like, this reminds me of, I think, something they had in Subculture. So there are some pretty shimmers in here, some nice things to play with. You can definitely do a lot of different things with this palette. There aren't really any transition shades. You have the shade B3 here, which is more of like a camel colored type of transition-y thing, but this is more of like an editorial palette than like something that's like everyday. So the color scheme makes sense if you're willing to be a little bit adventurous and a little bit creative. But I do see the similarities between the other palettes. I think I prefer this palette to some of the other palettes that Anastasia has released earlier this year. I just think it's a very bold color scheme, and there's a lot of different things to do, and it's a bold and it's a unique color scheme in and of itself, even though they've done similar shades in their other palettes. So overall, I'm definitely happy. I'm definitely happy with how my look came out. I'm happy with, you know, the quality of things. I didn't really have any major issues getting the look there, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, so anyway, if you are interested in seeing how I got this look and seeing my first impressions on the ABH Norvina Volume 1 palette, then keep on watching. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I've already done my brows. I haven't primed my lids yet because with the purchase of the Norvina palette, they gave a free sample of their eye primer, Anastasia's eye primer. So I'm just gonna try this out for the first time. So this is how it comes. It's a pretty cute deluxe size sample. It seems like there's a decent amount of product in here. Well, the bottle's pretty empty, so maybe it'll only be a couple of uses, but this is what the product looks like. It has a little bit of like a pinkish beige tint to it. So I'm just gonna work that in. It's pretty pigmented. I feel like if they were gonna go for only one color of primer, they should have gone with something that was less pigmented or no pigment rather than something so light. This reminds me of like a very light version of a concealer that I would use. You can see that right there. You see how much lighter that one is than that one. I'm guessing they'll probably release more shades of this, and that would be pretty cool if they did. The one good thing about a primer that's like this color is that I feel like it would be good for colored eyeshadows. It's almost like using a white base. It has some color to it, but like not much at all. It's like almost like an off-white. And now it's time for the star of the show. I have the Norvina Volume 1 palette over here. So it came in a bigger box, and then it came in this box. So it's like, I feel like it's like straight from the manufacturer, which is kind of cool because I ordered it as soon as it launched. And 2 days later, here I have it. So this is what the outside looks like. It has this like sleeve on the inside of the box as well. So there she is. It's a pretty big palette. It has a nice big mirror. I am digging this so far. So I am going to start my eye look. I think I'm gonna go in the shade A2 over here. This is just kind of like a warm tone purple. And I'm using my Obsessive Compulsive Cosmetics smaller tapered blending brush. So this is what I have so far. I've just gone in with that one shade A2 and worked it up. It looks really pretty. I really like the tone of this, especially for that kind of tone of purple. If it were a lesser quality shadow, it could kind of read pink on the eye once it was blended out, but this kind of stays true to color, which I really like. The blending was pretty decent. I do notice a little bit of skipping that could have to do with the primer, just like me maybe not blending it super evenly because I was using my fingers and I have my nails and stuff like that, so that could have something to do with that, but it looks pretty. It looks pretty overall. Just getting a little bit stuck, but it doesn't look bad. Like, it doesn't really look like overly patchy, and the pigmentation's there, and it's a nice tone. So, and I was able to kind of move it around as I please. Just a couple of little spots where it's like kind of sitting where it wants to. So I think for the next color, I'm gonna go in with the shade B4 over here. So this is like a matte violet kind of shade. So you're definitely getting some kick up in the pans. It's not it's not like the loosest eyeshadows that Anastasia's ever done, but similar enough. So I'm just putting this in my actual crease. So that is the shade B4 blended out in my crease and the outer edge of my eye. I think that that looks really, really pretty. Again, there is a little bit of sticking, but I notice that time to time with certain primers, just if the primer isn't fully distributed, you might get like a little bit of sticking, and I'm using a primer that I don't normally use. It doesn't look bad, like compared to like the Kaleidos mattes that I had done in a previous video. I feel like those were, and I was using my regular primers with those, and those were a little more patchy, but I think that this could have to do with the primer that I'm using, or just the way the primer distributed, or the quality of the primer itself. Overall, I think that this is looking really pretty. These tones of purple are really beautiful, saturated, true to color. I just really like how this is kind of looking. It's already having like a nice, really pretty, really smoky effect, which I'm really digging. So I think I'm going to start to do a half cut crease. And to do this, I'm going to use my Morphe flat concealer brush. This is the M421, and I have my Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer in Fair Neutral. Okay, so I have cut my creases. I'm going to go into the shade D1 over here, which is just like a matte yellow shade. And I'm going to start to place that on the inner part of my lid over here. And I'm using this is like my new favorite eyeshadow brush. I'm obsessed with this. This is the Morphe and Jeffree Star JS10 brush. So that is what the shade D1 looks like on the inner part of my lid. It wasn't too hard to build that up. I think that that applied fairly smoothly. I did have to build it up a little, but that's just because it's under a tacky base and a light colored base. So I'm going to go into the shade D3 here, which is like a true red. And I'm going to put that on the rest of the area where I cut the crease, kind of more in the center of the lid, using the same Morphe and Jeffree Star J10 brush. So that is that red shade D3 on the center of my lid. I definitely got fallout with that shade. That was the first shade where I've had noticeable fallout, which for ABH shadows is definitely to be expected. I am gonna go back into the D1 to the yellow just to kind of blend that into the red a little bit better. So that is how the two shades look together. It's a little hard to kind of mesh them together, but I think it's just because I'm working with like different tones. This eye in particular, there's like kind of like a line between the red and the yellow, and I'm trying to just really get that blended out. But overall, I think this is a cool look. I'm gonna go into the shade E5, which is like a chestnut brownie kind of shade, and I'm just gonna hit that right where the red ends over here on this side, just to kind of deepen up that outer edge and kind of blend that in a little bit better. I think that that looks really nice. It gave it like a nice hit of depth, which I really like. I'm gonna create a wing. I'm gonna use the Kat Von D tattoo liner in the shade Trooper. I'm gonna do that. I might do some work on the inner corner, get some shimmers in this look, but for now I'm just gonna do this and kind of carry on and see where we can take this. Okay, so I have done my wing. This one I messed up. It's way too thick, but I think I'm gonna try to clean it up with concealer, really get the concealer under there and try to refine it a little bit. So I'm just gonna use this for my waterline. This is a Lancôme. It's called Le Stylo Waterproof, and it's in the shade Amethyst. So I'm just gonna put this in my waterline. I have like a lot of crazy red fallout over here that's kind of smeared now. So that's awesome. Concealer this bitch out. I'm just gonna get a bunch of concealer on here and try to really fix the disaster that is my right eye right now. And for this, I'm using the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer in Fair Neutral, as I always do, as I'm wont to do. I'm gonna wipe off my Morphe M421 brush, my small concealer brush, and use it what it's actually intended for spot concealing. I'm gonna try to fix this over here. A little bit more blended out. It's hard to, even with this sponge, even though it has like that kind of flatter end in the point, it's hard to really get into those fine spots. So that's where the brush comes in handy. So this is what we're working with right now. I don't want to blend out that concealer too much. I don't want to mess up the placement. I think I was able to really get that wand of the Urban Decay concealer right underneath where I messed up the wing, and I thinned it out, and I think it looks a little bit better, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, I don't want to mess with that too much more. And I still have some like pinkness on my cheeks from that huge amount of red eyeshadow fallout, but I think I'm actually going to use the Anastasia foundation, so that has a little bit of coverage, and with the concealer I'm confident I can erase that. And I'm just going to work on concealing under my left eye. And I'm using the Juno microfiber velvet sponge. Okay, so we have concealed. I think that the concealer did a lot to help what was going on with my look, especially on this eye. This eye was going pretty well. This one was not as much, and I think I finally got that blend between the red and the yellow good. I was a little worried on this eye about that, but I think things are looking pretty decent so far. So I want to do something on the inner corner, which, you know, I'm a little bit nervous about again because things are going pretty well, but there's so many beautiful shimmers in this palette. I'm not going to use this one, but you have like this really pretty lilac shimmer over here. I think I want to go in this one, which is B3, and you have like a nice bronze, a nice gold, a nice kind of more cranberry. Oh, there's like this really pretty peach one. I wonder if I should do the peach one. So this is the pink shade, that's the B3, and this is the E1, that's like the peachy shade. That's a tough choice, man. I think I'm gonna go for B3. That was like the original one I wanted to do. The peach is really pretty, but it has like that kind of like seashell-y kind of like reflect to it. I'm not sure that's what I want. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this. And I'm just trying to like hug where I started my cut crease, like really just outline that. I think that that looks pretty decent. With the inner corner, I never feel like that shit looks even. I always feel like it looks crazy, but especially when I'm playing with color. But let's just try to have some fun with this. I think that so far this is looking pretty decent. It's just a fun way to play with color. And now I'm going to go in with mascara. I have the IT Cosmetics Lash Blowout Mascara. Definitely don't feel like I'm doing this palette justice without putting on falsies, but I just can't. Like, I've been here for an hour just doing this already. So I'm gonna finish my lower lash line, and I really was, when I saw this palette online, I was really excited about the shade D2. I expected it to be a little more blue in person, but it kind of has like that like pinky sparkle in it, so it almost comes off like a bluish violet kind of shade, but it's still really pretty. So again, I'm just using that same amazing brush. This works really well on the lower lash line too, the Morphe and Jeffree Star JS10 brush. And I'm just gonna take my Evian Baume Monsieur facial spray. That was a horrible French accent or whatever I was trying to do. And I just sprayed that just a little bit. So this is the lower lash line done with that shade D2. And the shade actually does read a lot more blue on the eye. It's actually a really unique looking shade. I do dig that. I went pretty heavy on the lower lash line. I'm not sure I'm loving that. I think it's kind of cool. Let me know what you think. But yeah, no, I mean, I think this is pretty cool. I think it looks pretty even. I'm just gonna finish my eyes with a little bit of that Lash Blowout mascara on the lower lash. I'm gonna apply foundation. I have the Anastasia Luminous foundation, and this is in the shade 150W. I am going to set my T-zone, and under my eyes I'm using the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette. I'm using the lightest shade Incandescent Light under my eyes. And this is a Cossetti S120 brush. It's like a large powder brush with a taper. I'm going between the other two shades at the ends, the darker shades, just to set my T-zone. I'm going to use the Tarte Amazonian Clay Blush, and this is in the shade Exposed. It's just like a cool tone, rosy pink kind of shade. And this is a Royal and Line Nickel Omnia BOM 34 blush brush. I'm gonna go in with the Anastasia XM Resi highlight. That's what it looks like. This has been around for a while. It's super, super awesome and gorgeous. And I'm gonna take the Fenty Beauty Highlight 120 brush. So that is my cheeks done, and I am going to finish with lips. I have the Kat Von D. This is the Everlasting Liquid Lipstick, and this is in the shade LUV. I'm just gonna let this dry for a minute. While I'm letting this dry for a million years, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna put on top, which is really exciting. I have the Lime Crime. This is the Diamond Crusher in the shade Black Unicorn. I don't know if you saw this little weird swatch on my hand the whole time, but this is a little preview of what I'm gonna do on my lips. I'm just gonna set my face. I have the Morphe X Jeffree Star. This is the Set and Refresh Mist in the Starberry scent. I'm just gonna set with this. I'm not too crazy about this one. The sprayer is a little weird on it, and the scent is not my favorite, but I love the way it looks. I love the dewy finish that it gives, and this is the completed look. So overall, I'm really, really happy with how the look came out. I think that the lip with the Diamond Crusher lip topper on it, on top of the Kat Von D LUV Everlasting lipstick, I think that that looks really cool, and I think that it matches the lower lash line, which I think is really cool. It's like a fun, futuristic look. My skin is looking super dewy in the viewfinder. The eyeshadow, I think that the eyeshadow looks really good, and the shadows performed really, really nicely. The only thing I'll say is that the red, there was like a lot of fallout with that one. I was doing a lot of packing on the lid with that one, but I didn't really get fallout with the other ones, which was nice. And the purples were really nice too. I know purples are a little hard to formulate, so I think they did a really nice job with these purples, and I feel like overall it came out really nice. That pop of pink on the inner corner I think is a really fun touch. The yellows looks really good. It's like I would say an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I really think that this palette's really nice. Anyway, that completes this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and have a good one. Bye guys.